advised to give a statement every time we're going to cover this case, and it'll be very brief. YouTube allows educational content, and this could also include graphic content or things of that nature that could describe certain situations. Reading a court transcript falls under that because it's educational content, and I will be providing context to this educational content. There are no images other than photos of the attorneys involved in the case, but nothing else further. Describing what is happening in court, it's only to educate about this case. Hey guys, so this is June 10th, the rest of June 10th. I wanted to make sure that we finished up because we were cutting June 10th in pieces. It became so long during the week for us to review everything. June 10th for Jane Doe. Now make sure you watch the other two videos on this, which I'm going to put the thumbnails, I'll put the videos in the description box, which kind of follow how things are going. June 10th was the first day that Jane Doe was on cross, okay? And then if you guys remember June 11th, it was like a shorter day for court. That was going on. So I wanted to make sure that at least I got June 10th done. But again, the other videos are in the description box. So you guys can follow kind of which one we did first and then just follow up here. This concludes June 10th. She says, this here is upsetting for me because he's reaching out to me specifically talking about a fantasy or specifically initiating conversations regarding me having S with two men. And so here I am thinking, assuming that he's just genuinely thinking about me, but it's about these men. And then I look online and I see that he's spending quality time with another girl. The things that I would have preferred that he messaged me about, but this was the dynamic. So here, this is where the frustration starts because I'm being woken up, being talking about men, and then Geragos says another girl is posting being with him. Exactly. And you hadn't gotten on the plane yet, right? No. You were still in your bed in Los Angeles. Yes. And then you said, let's sit this one out because you were upset, right? Have a beautiful day, right? Yes. I'm definitely feeling some type of way. Yes. And because then the next message that it reads and receives from you is, homegirl is posting about being there with you, right? Yes. So I genuinely thought, she's reading the message. So I genuinely thought you were just missing me. Is that in reference to the voice note that we just heard? She answers, Jane Doe, that is correct. Okay. And then you say, I thought on a quick 2-day trip, you wanted to see me, but you wanted Don and Sly moments within that time, hotel vibes, right? That is correct. Okay, let's go to the next page. And then you say you hadn't gotten on the plane yet, right? And you say, so I come in and do that while you go back to being laid up and booed for days. I see what I'm turning into in your eyes while homegirl is literally ran through and F's your friends behind your back. And did you get her an effing Chanel bag on top of that? LOL crazy. I don't like how you're treating me and what I'm seeing. I need a breather and a break from you. This doesn't make me feel good at all. Your true intentions with me are in plain sight. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Okay, so Teny was reading that. She says, right? Okay. Says, yes. And you say, don't you effing miss me? And you're bored over there? Just don't say ish to me at all. You don't deserve me, right? She says, yes. Let's unpack that. You're saying, so I come in, meaning if you were to travel there, he'd go back to being laid up with the girl for days, right? She responds, just rewind a little bit. So I mean to say, so I come in, meaning, and do that, meaning hotel nights. And then while you go back, meaning after you go back to being laid up, which means spending quality time and booed up for days with another girl he's dating and giving this girl quality time and not me after I've done a hotel night with strangers. Okay. And then you say, and did you get her an effing Chanel bag on top of that? LOL crazy. She responds, yes, my misdirected anger towards the women when my anger is truly for him and how mistreated I feel in this relationship. Okay. The question continues. And are you mistreated because this other person got a Chanel bag? Why are you saying Chanel bag? I'm being mistreated because the pressure that my partner was putting me was for me to have S with strangers. And when he leaves me, he goes and spend quality time in shopping and dining, etc., with the others. Did this person post a Chanel bag on their stories? She says yes. On Instagram? And didn't you get the Chanel bag? This other person was getting a Chanel bag, right? No, I only got trauma. You got a Van Cleef necklace, right? She responds, there was that. And then you got a Bogota bag, right? After 3.5 years, I really don't think I garnered much from this relationship. She's like, what is a bodega bag? I think it's bodega. She goes, I'm sure you have one. She says, I actually don't. What is a bodega bag? It's a high-end luxury purse for women. How much do bodega bags run? How much does my body cost? She says. Then the court interjects and says, Jane, I'm going to ask you to just respond to Miss Geragos' question and your lawyer can follow it up. Okay, thank you. I'm asking roughly how much a bodega bag costs. Teny Geragos asked. Anywhere between 1,500 to 5,000. Okay, and a Chanel bag. How much does a Chanel bag cost? I don't know. And after these text messages, you made the decision not to get on a plane. I can't recall. Okay. Do you recall if right after these text messages you went to Miami? Maybe, maybe not. You don't have an independent recollection either way? If you can provide me something to jog my memory back, if I did or not, I'm not really sure. Let's look at the next page. You say, ain't nobody just come to work out. She's been there for days and posting the studio. Stop lying. Funny thing is, I don't even care. I don't even effing care who you lay up with, right? Yes. And if we go to the next page, and then we go right here and read those messages, you want me to read them? You're saying you've been saying you miss me and want to see me, but you're lying. You just want the hotel ish, right? Yes. And then at the bottom, you say, which is super ran through and F's your friends. You think I care about this? Off this, right? Right. And all your responses have a blessed day, right? Yes. And goodbye, right? Yes. Can we break? Jane Doe's asking for a break. Of course. Let's take a break. Court says thank you. Members of the jury will take a break, and they're back in 10. So there's a break, and they get back from break, okay? And the questioning continues by Ms. Geragos to the Jane Doe. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, I apologize, says Jane Doe. No problem. Right before our break, you said that there was a chaotic whirlwind of a dark life I wasn't proud of. I just look up and there's nothing else I did with my life in these years. But he offered beautiful things to the other girls that they were able to share. Do you remember that? Yes. And you said that quality time is shopping and dining, right? Yes. Okay. And you just testified this morning about multiple businesses that you were running during your relationship with him, right? Yes. You had a swimsuit brand. I did. And you got to sell swimsuits and model for your swimsuit brand. Yes. And you also had a dress brand, right? Yes. And you were an entrepreneur during your relationship with him, right? Yes. And you're still there, right? Yes. And you're still talking about the house that you lived in now, right? Right? Yes. And in that house, you lived there for how long? I would say 3 years now, or close to 3 years, almost 3 years, almost 3 years, right? Two and a half or so. And before your house, you were living in an apartment? Yes. And now you live in this home, right? Yes. And how many square feet, if you know, is this home? I think it's about 305,000. How big was your apartment beforehand? I think it was 1,400. So it's significantly bigger home than the apartment beforehand, right? Yes. Without telling me the location, it's in a nice area of Los Angeles, right? Yes. And you're able to parent your child in this nice home, right? Yes. And you're able to provide him, her, the child a large backyard, right? Yes. And a big home for your child, right? Yes. And that's important to you, right? Yes. And Mr. Combs, you testified, put 20,000 of an investment into your businesses, right? Yes. And that was something that meant a lot to you, right? Yes. Because you wanted to build your dress business. Yes. You were living in LA for a portion of your relationship with him. Yes. And you traveled to New York also with him. Yes. Okay. And you also did get a lot of quality time with him at his homes, right? At times, yes. And you really appreciated and love that quality time, right? Yes. And that was the time you craved that you had with him. Yes. And that was the time you look forward to the most. Yes. Because that's when you got to be close to your partner. Yes. And close to your lover. Yes. And that was really, really important to you. Yes. Okay. And so when you say that you looked up and there's nothing I did with my life in these years, you had two businesses that one is now profitable, right? I would say that I I would say that had I not dove headstrong on this relationship, I probably would have been a bit more successful in that time frame, but that's neither here nor there. Mm, so that's my answer to that. Okay. So exhibits are pulled and admitted. Okay. Miss Comey, I believe, did not object to this exhibit. Comey says that's correct, Your Honor. I was checking my list, no objection. All right. So there's an exhibit that's admitted under seal. Okay. And Geragos says, if we could publish that for the jury, this is December 13, 2021, right? Yes. So it's approximately a month after the text messages that we were looking at, right? Yes. All right. And in this messages, you send him night, my love, sexy dreams with the kiss emoji, right? Yes. And he sends you an emoji back. Yes. Okay. And you love that emoji. And then what emojis do you send him? I sent him a kiss, some clouds, and something else. Okay. And what do the clouds indicate, if anything? No. Okay. And then he says, I'm on a plane. You turn me the F out for real. When I am seeing you again, when am I seeing you again? You got me fiending. I can't stop thinking about being with you. If I could just be Nana every day, I would. Send me one of your fave videos. What have you been thinking about? Right? Right. Okay, the next page. And he corrects himself and says D, LOL. And what do you respond with? I say, wish I was drinking your blah 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 and slide blah blah da 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 blah, blah up and down. Love it when we blah 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 deep and slow blah blah. I never had a D made me blah 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 many times. And he responds, just landed in NYC, right? Yes. What did you say? I said, right now, thinking about it, I could have my legs, blah, 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 every single day. He says, when you going to bring that back to me? When am I going to see you again? Right? Yes. And you say, I don't have the videos, babe. You got to send me good ones. But I'm definitely remember everything, right? Yes. And so when he asks, when you going to bring that back to me, what is your impression of what he means by that? Is it to you? Yeah, here. And when I'm seeing you and when am I seeing you again, right? Yes. So he's talking about you, right? Yes. And your answer is, I don't have videos, babe. You got to send me some good ones, but I definitely remember everything, right? Right. Is this in reference to a hotel night that you had with him just a couple of days before him? Right. Okay, so your response is about the videos, right? Yes. That you guys take during the that hotel night. Yes, because he wants to see them. These are things that you would watch when you were together. Yes. Can we go to 2 to 3 and 4? And then you say, "You tell me, baby, and glad my daddy landed safely. Um, 10 something something. I'm craving you too, right? Yes. Okay." And he says, "When you free again, I want you now, right? Yes. Okay." And you responded, "You love it." And you say, "Maybe later this week. I want you always, right? Yes." Okay. So they move on to other exhibits. Then she says, Teny Geragos, without reading I'll read the first text. What is that first emoji? What can you explain those three emojis that we see? Yes, it's like an emoji with a mind that's blown off and two monkey faces with the eyes covered. And then you say, nasty. And then the nicknames of your true name, right? Yes. And what do you say after that? That's your girl, baby. Maybe we can leave like Thursday or Friday, baby. And then what do you say? I want to get Exy and you, daddy. Mama needs to feel Exy. Sometimes I just like sitting next to you with some wine and take you all in with my eyes. And he says, we don't have to be debaucherous, lol, right? Yes. And you said on direct that debaucherous means it is something like you guys would talk about with respects to those nights, or that's how you would refer to it. Is that right? Yes. So you're saying I want to get exy and dress up for you. I need you to make me feel exy. And he says, we don't have to be debaucherous, right? Right. Okay. So if we can go to the pages, let's go to the next two pages. And you say you send him a selfie, right? Yes. And you say everything about us turns me on, right? Yes. And he says, I can do all that, right? Yes. And then what do you say? I said, LOL with my heart, eyes, and a kiss face. I've been having a little fantasy in my mind. Okay. And he says, I even know how to make love without oil and outfits. Tell me, please. I say, next time I see you, I want to wear something different. My lingerie and my hair, I want to be intoxicated with wine. That's when I feel my exiest. And have you watched me? My perfect man I ever wanted. My heart eye emojis. Just looking fine for me. And then he responds, okay, let's do it. I didn't know that. You don't have to do Molly, right? Right. And he says he didn't know that's when you feel your exiest, right? That's what he says. Okay. And you say, can we have a night of love? Right? Yes. And love is capitalized. Why is the L in love capitalized? No specific reason. Jane Doe answers. Okay, let's go to the next page. And then he says, of course, right. Yes. And you say, then we can get slurty. And the following day or so, LOL, with multiple L's, right? Yes. What does that mean? That means, because I want to be fair, that typically he doesn't like really want like the boring romantic stuff. He wants the debauch debaucherous stuff. So here I'm kind of saying like, let's start it off like wine and romance, like sexy with my hair down, because he often prefers my hair in a ponytail, and I just wanted to wear my hair down for him. And then he says, of course. And then I know my partner, that's what he likes and what he wants. Debauchery is what we nickname these nights. So that's why you say then we can get slurty slurty the following day or so. LOL. Yes. And you say, I want to be like in a silk dress and heels, right? Yes. And his response is, we don't have to go crazy for the rest of the year, right? That's his response. And that's his response. You send, we can get slurty slurty following day or so, LOL, at 5:09 or 5 p.m. and 9 seconds. And he sends that response pretty much immediately after. You're right. Right? Yes. And then you say, even smelling you next to me turns me on. You emphasize, we don't have to go crazy for the rest of the year, right? Right. Can you explain for those of us who don't have an iPhone, what does the emphasis mean? Oh, I put an exclamation point on the text that he sent. And then if we go up to page 10, he says, okay, let's switch it up, right? Right. And you say, I believe it when I see it with the little smirk. Right, right. And we've talked about the smirk. You've indicated that means flirtatious, right? In this context, I think it means like flirty and like maybe. And then what do you say next? I say LOL with the heart. And the I love your intensity. Yes. And then what do you say after that? I said, it's okay with me. With a heart? Yes. Okay. And he says, what do you mean? Or what do you mean? Right? Yes, because I'm sensing some sort of like rejection here. Like, we don't have to go crazy for the rest of the year after I kind of started talking about what I want. And I feel like he's feeling like some sort of rejection or something. And so I am okay. So more exhibits get pulled and zoomed into. He says, Teny Geragos continues. He says, okay, let's switch it up, right? Yes. Is that when you're sensing rejection? Before that. Okay. Why don't we put 9 and 10 together, back together? She Jane Doe then says, I'm sensing rejection under we don't have to go crazy for the rest of the year. That's when you felt. Is that an example of an undertone that you felt? Yes. And then when he says, we don't have to go crazy for the rest of the year, yes. Then you emphasize that, right? Yes. And then he responds to you, to your emphasis by saying, okay, let's switch it up, right? Yes. And you say, I believe it. And you say, I will believe it when I see it with the flirtatious smirk emoji, right? Right. And you say, LOL with a heart. Yes. And then you tell him you love his intensity and it's okay with you with a heart, right? Right. And he's asking you, you say, it's okay with me with a heart at about 5:01:27 seconds p.m. And 4 seconds later, he says, what do you mean? Right? Right. He's asking you what you mean. Right. And what did you say in response? I said, I love that we have the freedom with one another. It's a whole other level of erotonism. Okay, can we go to the next 2 pages? All right. He says, you don't think I can do it. LOL, right? Right. And then what do you say? I say, I mean, I think there will be this debauchery before the end of the year, LOL. And can you read your next 2 messages? Yes. No, I just know you like it and I don't mind it either, baby. I just want some sexy time, romantic time with my baby for a second. And he says, no, I'm going to make you beg for your debauchery, right? Right. So he says, we don't have to do it. And then you don't think I can? And you responded, no, I just know you like it. And I don't mind it either, baby. I just want some sexy romantic time with my baby for a second, right? Yes. And he's reading what you just said 2 seconds later, writes, nope, I'm going to make you beg for debauchery, right? Right. And you put a laughing and you laugh response to the message. Right. Like you emphasize the laughter with the iPhone. Right. And you say, okay, baby, let's try this out and see how we feel. I love it all with you, right? Right. And then he says, baby, you see how I've been holding back? I don't need no help, right? I don't need no help, right? And he says, baby, I know how and love the time where it's just me and you, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. And you love that message? Yes. And he says, LOL. Right. And then you send him some emojis. What do those emojis indicate? Just heart eyes, water, like um corny. Okay. And he says, I'll F your head up. And you emphasize that, right? Yes. Okay, so more exhibits are put up, and Geragos continues. All right. Then you send him several text messages, which you don't have to read out loud, but you say, you definitely intoxicated me mentally. Every stroke feels like the most blah, 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 blah. I can't even describe it, but let's have a night of drowning in each other, right? Yes. And then you respond at the end of page 15. Hope your treatment goes well, my love. Message me when you're done. Wish I was cuddling and sleeping with you after a big hug or kiss, right? Yes. Okay. Geragos then says to the judge, Your Honor, I could do more. I could do one more exhibit, or we could stop now, whatever. Court says, why don't we do one last one? Geragos says, okay, perfect. So more exhibits are shown. No objection from Miss Comey, and they're offering these exhibits under seal. Okay. Could we go to page 13, please? All right. You write on page 13, I skipped ahead a bit. I miss you, baby. Can't stop thinking about you and being nana with you too. I love having that intensity with you. Do you remember writing that? Yes. What do you say next? I said, remember when we just got home from a hotel and eating, just shooting the ish, and we were just staring at each other, just telling each other how much we wanted each other right in that moment. My whole body was doing something for you. Should I keep reading? So no, thank you. Is this an example of a time where you got to have quality time with him and you get home from the hotel and you get to talk to one another? Yes. And then you get to, I think you said this morning you guys would make love to each other after that. That would be a really intense and wonderful time between you two. Yes. And so you're telling me here in this message on December 14th, do you remember that time that we had together that was really intense and my whole body was just something for you? Yes. And then you say, still can't believe we came time. Wish you were in bed with me. Night, my baby. Right? Yes. And then you send some more text the next day. Do you see that on page 14? Yes. Okay. If we could go to the next page, 16, 15, and 16. And then at the bottom of 15, you send him a selfie, right? Yes. And what did you write under the selfie? I said, wish you were here. We can play our videos on TV and lock each other in the room all day. And this is in reference to the videos that you guys would record during the hotel nights. Yes, because I know that that's what he liked. So you send him this selfie at about 6:54 p.m., right? Yes. And you told him, I wish you were here. We could play our videos on TV and lock each other in the room all day. Right? Yes, because I know he liked that, watching and recapping. And you wanted to show him videos and recaps and watch and talk about it, right? I wanted to do something he liked. Okay. And what does he respond with on the next page? He liked the image, and then he goes, tomorrow night, with an exclamation point. And he says, then you respond, you say, okay, and then you send him several emojis, right? Yes. And what are those emojis indicative of? Flirtation, heart eyes, water. And if we can go to the next page for these exhibits, we'll skip to page 29. Okay, this is, there we go. This is several days after, right? The one that we were just looking at were December 14th. Yes. Okay, so this is December 24th, 2021. Yes. And you say, just look, I don't see anything on the blogs at all. Night baby, sweet dreams, right? Yes. And this is in reference to you guys looking through the blogs to make sure nobody essentially had spotted you or caught you out. I believe so. Okay. And he then says, you're so sweet, right? Yes. And you responded with emojis. He's responding to the photo I sent. Oh, I see. Okay. Explain that photo on the left with the bears. I got his daughter's forever flower teddy bears for Christmas. I see. This is Christmas Eve? Yes. Okay. And so he says, "You're sweet, right?" Yes. And he says, "That ish was so effing exy the other night. Damn." Right? Yes. And what did you say in response? I emphasized the text and I said, "I haven't stopped thinking about it um, at all. It just keeps getting better and better." What does he say? What part have you been thinking about? Okay, can we go to the next page? What did you say in response? I said just how sexy the room was, so much S tension. It was making me water seeing to see it, and the way you made me a home. I'll never uh name so in my life. What are those emojis next to the text messages? Big puppy eyes and crying. Okay, is the crying upset crying or happy crying? What does that crying indicate? Crying so hard because it feels good? Okay, and then what do you say after that? Everything is hard but sexy, a lot of deep. And I say, "Did you love it, baby?" Are you saying that because you wanted to know how he felt the other night? Yes, I'm making conversation. He says, "I love it," right? Yes. And you responded with some emojis. Yes. The Smurf emoji we talked about, flirtatious, right? Yes. And kissing emojis. Yes. And you say cheese, right? Yes. Okay. And then you send him a song. Then you send him a song that says, "You light my fire. I feel alive with you, baby. You blow my mind. I'm satisfied, outstanding," right? Yes. Then afterwards, you send him a message, "Baby, I just got my package. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to wait to open it until tomorrow. You're so sweet, my baby," right? Yes. And is this in reference to your Christmas present? Yes. Okay, Your Honor, I think we could stop. I think, Your Honor, we could stop now. So, again, this is the cross on June 10th, okay, with Jane Doe and Teny Geragos, all right? And nothing really eventful happens here. They actually adjourn and then they say we're going to start, you know, the hearing a little bit later the following day, which would have been, Wednesday. Okay. Again, this is June 10th. So make sure you guys watch the other videos. The videos where I do transcripts, again, they say transcripts on top. And then it'll tell you kind of which one I'm doing. All right. So this is June 10th. We have to finish up June 11th, which hopefully we'll get to it here pretty soon. And then, of course, we still have June 12th, which is today. And it sounds like June 12th was kind of an interesting day for the court. So I cannot wait to get that transcript. Let me just say that, in these transcripts, it seems like we get a little bit more perspective as far as these messages. They're going through every message that they sent each other. Let me know what you guys think. So now we are on the transcript of June 11th. Now, instead of sitting here and reading the whole transcript, what I'm going to do is I'm just highlighted, I reviewed it already and highlighted the most relevant parts for the purposes of this video. This is going to help me in the future videos that I'm about to make and catch up on, because then I'm able to really just put out the information that's relevant to what is happening, like the sidebars or specific questions. And so this is what I did here. And even doing that took me a good hour to do. So I'm working on June 12th as we speak, and also June 13th, which we know June 13th was quite a day. Do me a favor, guys, show some support, hit the like button. I got all my pay links in the description box as well as pinned somewhere in the description box. Shout out to you guys, and let's roll this. All right. These are from December 20th of 2021, right? Yes. And do these appear to be messages between yourself and Cabral? Yes. And this is right after your hotel nights with him. Maybe, yes. And okay, and here you write he texted you, "Good morning, love. How are you feeling?" Right? Yes. And you say, "Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?" And he asks, he wants to check in on you, right? Yes. And he says he had a pretty intense night, right? Yes. And he says, "LOL, that was the roughest S we ever had." You were talking so dirty to me and taking me so deep. I loved it, right? Yes. You emphasize that. Yes. Okay. And you respond saying, haha, lol, with many emojis, right? Yes. Okay. And this is an example. I think you spoke yesterday about how you were good at making the escorts, the entertainers also feel like they were really enjoying it, right? Yes. Is this an example of that? I would say I'm being friendly here. Yes. And he had said, that was the roughest S we've had. And you said one for the books, right? Yes. If you could read what you said there. Yes. I said, it's not right how you're treating me right now and how you're doing me. We had such an amazing New Year's Eve together. And the last thing I would expect from you is coming at me sideways about a girl you like. To even be speaking to me about another female, worried about her to me, is something I've never seen before. You completely had, and more with New Year's Eve week, just to send me home to worry about a doctor's visit, handling entertainment, and accusing me of lying, then take another girl on vacation, ignoring us for days to prioritize. That right now shows where your care is. And it's not for me. Cold. I'd never make you feel that way. We have been so good. You were telling me you loved me. I'm your baby. How you're not going to how you're not going to use me all to treat me like this? Why? You have me feeling so taken advantage of and regretting everything. All right, and this is a message that you sent on January 9th. I did. Was it approximately a week after the last hotel night ended? Yes. And you sent this after you saw that he was already on vacation with Gina, right? Yes. And after you saw that, you had this amazing New Year's Eve together and that he had taken Gina on vacation. You were considering breaking up with him, right? Yes. And he had told you that if you wanted to leave the relationship or if it was as toxic as you were saying, that you were welcome to leave, right? That's what he would say. Yes. But is that what he said after this? After this time? I believe so. Do you remember on January 29th, which was just the next day you saw Mr. Combs at his home in Los Angeles on Mapleton Drive? What was the date? I'm sorry. On well, the next day after the beginning of the messages aren't here, but the messages aren't here, but on January 29th of 2022, that I was with Mr. Combs? Yes. Okay. On January 29th. Okay. On January 29th. Okay. Do you remember that? Or if not, I could show you something to refresh your recollection. Yes, that would be great. It's a vague memory. Okay. Does that refresh your recollection as to whether you saw him that day? It's a vague memory, but I see here that I did go. Okay. And then you do recall that you did not have a hotel night that night. I don't think so. Okay. And then you started to celebrate your birthday on the 5th of February. You went to Ocean Prime with Mr. Combs, right? Do you remember that? Yes. Okay. And then we look at those messages between you and Cabral on the same day, right? Yes. All right. And you ended up, I think, testifying that you ended up seeing the Italian entertainer that night. Well, what we'll call the Italian. Yes. Okay. And it was after the birthday and that night that you testified that he had started dating another woman, right? It was really heartbreaking for you. Yes. And that woman is Carisha, right? Yes. Her entertainment name is Young Miami, right? Yes. And she has a birthday approximately the same time as you, around the same time as you do, right? Yes. So after your birthday, you saw that Mr. Combs had taken Carisha on a yacht vacation, right? Yes. And it was a big, beautiful celebration for her, right? Yes. And so you had told him how upset and hurt you were, right? Yes. And you say to him, I see the entire island. I see the entire island vacation home. The dress up PJ, all the efforts you put into this. That's why you were blowing me off on my birthday, acting like you had planned so much for us because you knew I would see all of this and and what a drastic thing this is, right? Right? Yes. Okay. And so when you saw that he was celebrating Carisha's birthday, that made you very upset. And we already talked about how you FaceTimed him, right? Yes. Do you remember making him come home a day early from this vacation? I do. What did you say? I said, if you don't come home, if you don't come here now, we're not going to do anything that you want to do. You told him that you weren't going to have, or do you remember telling him you weren't going to have a Valentine Day party with him? Yes. That was the first time that I was so upset that I pulled that card. Yes. The hotel night card? Yes. And do you remember telling him, if you don't get your ass out of the island, we're not going to have a party? Yes, I do. And on the left, Miss Comey asked you whether there were any times that you had planned like a surprise hotel night for Mr. Combs. You remember that? Yes. And you had mentioned that from what you could remember, 2 or 3 times, right? Yes. And one of those times you said was maybe a Valentine Day. Was this the Valentine's Day that we're talking about? Yes. And do you remember after the end of this Valentine's Day, he wrote you a note about this, and whatever those words were in the note you said meant the world to you. Do you remember that? Do you have the note? I really don't remember the note. You don't remember the note? Yeah, no. Okay. All right. Do you remember that you were telling KK you were planning this, that you wanted to organize a few things to make this really cute and romantic for him? Yes. Did she help you plan that? Or were you just giving her a heads up that you were coming? I think just a heads up. Did you suggest at this Valentine's Day hotel night that you could have two men in the same room at the same time? Yes. Was that your suggestion or his suggestion? It was my suggestion. And did that happen? It did. You hadn't done that before in any hotel night, right? We had not. Was Mr. Combs excited when he heard about that? Yes, he was. And you proposed this idea, just a few days earlier. You said that you did not enjoy the hotel nights that you had on your birthday, right? Yes. Can you tell the jury what Nobu is? It's a high end sushi restaurant in Miami. And is that the Nobu chef that's with him? Yes. And is that a bottle of De Leon tequila? Yes. And is that Mr. Combs at the time, the tequila company that he was affiliated with? Yes. And so why did you take this picture? I thought he looked nice. And okay, so then if we could, after this photo, you went to Nobu, you had a hotel night with Paul and Don. Does that ring a bell? Yes. All right. So on these 2 pages, are you coordinating coming to Miami you for that trip where you guys went to Nobu? Yes. Okay. Is this the same message thread from March 14th? Yes. All right. And here Mr. Combs says, everyone can pose. F it. I can't keep up. Have a beautiful day. Beautiful. Right? Yes. And what do you say in response? I said, nah, have her delete all of that ish. Like you made me delete a food post. Give her my love bracelet too, so that she can match that necklace you all copied for her too. Now you want to say F it after giving me anxiety and feeling unwelcome on my toes? Nah. So you want me to put, okay? Geragos interrupts. So you then say your true name. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Anyway, but now you want me to say F it, it's cool. Oh, now it's cool. LOL. Nah. I'm moving past this because it's beneath me. But this is not cool. He says, have a good day, baby, right? Yes. Is this a fight that you guys are having the hotel night because you see that Gina's wearing a love necklace that matched the love bracelet that he got you? Yes. After these nights, they were like they were emotionally excruciating after. So to see things were deeply hurtful for me. And you had picked out, I think you had testified, you had picked out a love bracelet in the beginning of 2021, right? Yes. And then he surprised you with that bracelet, right? Yes. And then you saw a photo where Gina had posted on Instagram, right? Yes. And in that photo, Gina was wearing the matching love bracelet, but the necklace, right? Yes. And this upset you because she posted it on her public Instagram, right? Yes. And you were upset that he had made you delete a food post that would indicate you were with him. Yes. So when you said give her my love bracelet too, so she can match that necklace, you all copied for her. That's in reference to Gina. Yes. Mr. Combs texts you here. And this is April 4th, 2022. Yes. April 4th. Texting you, yes. On the left hand side, he's texting you. And you responded on the left hand side, right? Yes. Okay. And he tells you, I've been having crazy fantasies about Leo, you, and Leo. LOL. Right? Yes. Who is Leo? This Italian entertainer. That's the guy you guys refer to as Italian. Yes. Okay. And what do you say in response? I said, I'll figure out what time I can make my way there. I really want to figure out our solutions because I really feel like we wasted time fighting. Oddly, I thought you had it in your mind. Let's talk when I see you. Let me figure out timing first. And what did you tell him? I say, baby, I want to make love to you. I haven't selfishly had you to myself for 5 months. I'm fine with the other stuff, but I really just need you right now. And he says, okay, whatever you want, right? Yes. And that's what he says. Yes. And you say, I really just need you right now, right? That's what he says. And what do you tell him? I say, I know what you want, baby, but not really in the mood for that part. Don't want to make you mad. And what does he respond to? All good. And what do you say? Okay. And he says, so what are we doing? Right? Right. And you tell him you're heading to the store. What store? The S store. Okay. To get outfits? Yes. What else would you get? I'd get Tripper shoes. I would get Lulu, and I would get male e pills or liquids. I would get shorts. I would get maybe whips. Okay, so what are the shorts for? The shorts are for Sean and Paul. Okay, and this is something that you like them to wear. Given my circumstances, I was really turned off whenever these men would come in their regular shorts. So I started incorporating shorts for them, as well as these nights, just so I can find them attractive. And Mr. Combs would wear matching shorts with the entertainers. Yes. And so you would get them matching shorts at the S stores. Yes. Okay. And the male e-pills, is that for the entertainer or for Mr. Combs, or for who would that be for? It was really not so fun having to wind up these guys and wait for them to be elected. So, in order to cut my time with these entertainers, I started to get these on the side so they can get a kind of a start being elected already. Okay, so you didn't want them to do any hard rugs, but you would give them these pills from the S stores, right? I figured pills at the store weren't as unhealthy as the actual street rugs. And what were the pills called? Rhino. Rhino pills? Yes. And then the next page you say, you did say you wanted to go apeshit. LOL, right? Yes, I love pleasing my partner. You love pleasing him, right? I do. And you thought he had a really good time that night, right? I think he did. Okay, and you said, phew, phew, okay, baby. Enjoy the birthday. Last night was amazing, right? Yes. And then later in the message, you tell him, hi, baby. Hope you feeling good and caught up on rest. The video looks incredible with the fire emojis, right? Yes. Okay. My only question is, my question was, do you recall that on July 23rd, 2022, you saw Mr. Combs and you did not have a hotel night that night? I'm sure maybe I saw him here. Whether we had a hotel night or not is unclear. Okay. And he had said in that text message chain, pack a freak bag just in case, right? Yes. And what does that mean to you? It means pack lingerie, high heels, and the things that he likes, just in case we had a hotel night or just being together and have a movie night. So, pack a freak bag doesn't necessarily mean that you will have a hotel night, right? Not necessarily. So, when you say you were icked out by the Italian, he says, no go, right? Yes. You do not have to see the Italian. Yes. And then he says, P is all we need. I think you testified that you understood P as Paul. Yes. And he says, LOL with a laughing emoji, right? Yes. Okay. And you responded, right. LOL, right? Yes. And then what do you say? I said, once I get in my car, I'll have to stop at the store. Unless you want to get ahead unless you want to get a head start and grab a couple of things, we don't want to waste time. So after he says that, Paul is all we need, you tell him you will go to the store and get, unless you want him to go get a head start, right? Yes. What do you mean by a head start? That we can go to the hotel ahead of time. Okay, to get there quicker, to have this start quicker? I believe so. And then do you recall that after this hotel night, you spent several days with him at his home? Yes, maybe. And your message is on August 31st of 2022 here. Can you read what you write starting with the third message? I said I said so much fun, baby. I'm waiting for you. Love you. What do you write after that? It's 2 hours later. I said, baby, love, before you lose service, I just genuinely wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your love and care for me. I got on my knees and had a heartfelt thank you to God for my healthy, you say for your healthy child, right? Yes. And for our genuine friendship, I will never take you for granted and I will always make sure you always feel loved and supported by me. My love for you is unconditional and for life. Wishing you the most beautiful, eye opening, heart chakra spiritual journey. Loving trip. Love you so much. And you sent him several emojis, right? Yes. And this was after your night with Paul and Mr. Combs at your home. And these nights, these feelings that I have and what I'm exuding are my feelings directly, straightly just from Mr. Combs. And that's what he received from you, right? Yes. Okay. Because you really loved him, right? Definitely. And I think you testified yesterday that you felt what you really loved and craved about these nights were the closeness that you and him had after the entertainer left, right? Any time with him I loved. And so when you sent this message to him, that's what he received after this night, right? Yes. And if we look at this message, I don't believe that there's an objection. But these are messages between you and Mr. Combs, February 3rd. Yes. On February 3rd, do you write to Mr. Combs, baby love, do you think you could send me something for my birthday festivities, please? Just want to get a few things in time and also lock in my friends and family dinner that I would love to do. And let me know. Thank you. I love you so much, right? Yes. Okay. Does he pay for your birthday party that year? He pays for my birthday dinner, yes. Okay. So tell us about the birthday dinner. It was me and my friends, and we had a birthday dinner at a restaurant in the private room. What was the restaurant? I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but somewhere in Los Angeles. And he paid for it, and you had a great time with your friends, right? I had a okay time. Didn't didn't have a great birthday? I did not have a great birthday. You didn't have a great birthday dinner that he paid for? No. And you wanted him to send you money so that you could get a few things in time, outfits, etc., etc. Yes. Okay. Okay, so for your birthday dinner or for when you were to go to Miami. For my birthday dinner. What kind of things did you need for your birthday dinner? An outfit. I wanted to cover the bill for me and my friends and just to try to have a happy moment in a sad time. You were going to be there with several of your closest friends, right? Yes. How much did you ask him to send you? 15,000. And that covered all the outfits and the whole birthday? Yes. How many friends came? I would say 13 or 14. And you did this in Los Angeles? Yes. Here is February 8th, 2023. Yes. And you're planning, at this point, you're in Miami, right? Yes. And you're planning your birthday dinner with Mr. Combs, right? Yes. And you say, baby, is Nobu the only dinner option tonight? Would you want to maybe try something different? I've heard good things about papi steak or carbone. Haven't been there before, right? Yes, I really wanted to get out of the hotel. Well, you had plans to go to Nobu, right? I was at the Nobu hotel just to go downstairs to the Nobu restaurant, just to go back upstairs to a Nobu suite to the Nobu Suite. So in Miami, there's a whole hotel dedicated to the restaurant, right? Yes. The fancy sushi restaurant that you just told us about. Yes. He conveniently put me in a hotel where he could just go privately downstairs and privately go back upstairs to the hotel suite. Okay, so you're asking that you want to go to Papi Steak, right? Or Carbone? I'm asking if he could please romance me outside of a hotel room. Yes. You're asking if Nobu is the only dinner option tonight, right? Unfortunately, yes. You didn't say, could you romance me outside of the hotel room in this text message? You say, is Nobu the only option, right? I was praying he would read between those lines, but yes, that is what I said. Is that an example of an undertone or subtle cue that you would second to him? This is a subtle cue to my lover and my partner, yes. But you say, is maybe would you want to try something different? I've heard good things about papi steak and carbone, right? In hopes that he would take me out of the hotel, yes. And papi steak is a very nice restaurant in Miami, right? I wouldn't know. You know that it's a good restaurant because you're asking to go there, right? Objection from the government. Overruled. So I've heard. It's owned by a luxury restaurateur. Right. I'm sure it is. But because you heard of it, right? I've heard of it, yes. And Carbone is another international Italian restaurant, right? I guess. You knew Carbone, right? I just wanted to recommend fine dining so that I can be romanced properly on my birthday. And Papi Steak and Carbone were in your mind fine dining options, right? Yes. And Nobu is also fine dining option, also, right? Sure. Okay. Photos are shown as exhibits. These photos are from your birthday? Yes. Okay. And is that photo down? Are both of those in the hotel room? Yes, they are. Okay. Do you remember that night at Nobu, Mr. Combs having his personal photographer take photos of the both of you? This was just the butler taking an iPhone photo. These two, do you remember where his personal photographer came and took photos of the both of you? Oh, yes, I do remember. He stopped by for a little bit and he did a photo shoot of both of you, right? Yes. Okay. And you loved having that photo shoot with Mr. Combs, right? Yes. Is this the photo of Mr. Combs' personal photographer took of you both? Yes. This is just one of them, right? Yes. He took many, right? Yes. And you were excited to receive those photos, right? Yes. And that night, you said you testified that that night at Nobu, you were so happy to be with your lover. He was so loving, so sweet as always, right? Despite everything, yes. Despite the fact that you were in a hotel room, you testified on direct examination that you were so happy to be with your lover. He was so sweet as always, right? Yes. Okay. You also testified you were just really happy to be around him, right? Just him, yes. And he said you testified that he said he was excited to see what new entertainment you had, right? Yes. And it was just what 3 or 4 months before that you had reached out to Antoine for the first time? Yes. And so if I had my notes right, about 4 months later, he was asking you, he was so excited to see what new entertainment, right? Yes. And last year for Valentine's Day around your birthday, you had organized that hotel room that we were looking at earlier this morning and earlier this afternoon, right? Unfortunately, yes. Where you suggested two men come into the room, right? Unfortunately, yes. And he was really excited by the prospects because it was something that you suggested, right? Yes. And something that you organized, right? Under my circumstances, it was something that I suggested and something I organized. Yes. And your circumstances were that he was with Carisha for her birthday, and you told him, get your ass back to Miami, otherwise, you don't get a hotel night, right? My circumstances were my options in this relationship was that I had to adjust to, which was if I see him, there is a request for a hotel night. So I'm just adapting to my circumstances. I'm adapting to my environment. So there are moments where I suggest and organize things under the pressures of my lover. Yes. Well, Valentine's of the year before, he was somewhere else. He was in a different country, right? Yes, he was. So get your ass off that island, right? This is a rare occasion that I had pulled a hotel card. Yes. And okay, and then 4 months before the photos that we're looking at right now, you had just reached out to Antoine. I did. And Antoine was an example of a new entertainer, right? Yes. And so when he asked you at the Noble Hotel, he was so excited to see what new entertainment you had. You said you accepted it, right? I wouldn't say I accepted it. I would say I went along with it. Okay. On direct examination, you do remember Miss Comey asking you, how did you respond when and you saying, I don't know, I just accepted it, right? My I don't know and all of my stuttering is me trying to find the words of going along with something that I really didn't feel like I could say no to because it could mean you would break up. No, because it would mean I'm sitting here across from somebody with this unspoken pressure. And this is my option and my dynamics of my relationship. So either I accept it or I would be faced with some sort of agitation or another option where it could lead me to a hotel night. So, okay. So it's a new entertainer or agitation. The or is agitation. Yes. Okay, but you agree with me that you testified on direct examination. I don't know. I just accepted it. And Miss Comey asked you why, and you said, I don't know. That is what I said that day. Yes. Then she asked you after that dinner, you go upstairs, and he gives me my birthday gifts. Do you remember saying that? I do. And Miss Comey asked you, do you remember what it was? And you said, a necklace? Yes. Okay. Jane, this is a photo that you took on your phone of Mr. Combs. Yes, it is. Is this taken the night of your birthday? Yes, it is. And now it can be published to the jury, please. Is this the necklace and bracelet he gave you for your birthday? Yes. And is this the Van Cleef necklace and bracelet that you were talking about yesterday? Yes. Can you explain to the jury what Van Cleef is? It's a jewelry brand that is high end and beautiful. Were you excited to get that for your birthday? Yes. So excited you dressed up in lingerie and you guys took a photo together, right? I'm receiving a gift. I'm given a pill. I'm awaiting an entertainer. Okay. And that photo, had you already taken a pill? Yes. Okay. And um, you were smiling in that photo, right? Yes, I'm receiving affection and love and compliments right before an entertainer comes. I'm giving a gift right before an entertainer comes. Yes. And you were really excited to get a necklace and a bracelet, right? Any type of affection at this point in my life that I received from Sean, I welcomed with open arms. Yes. So you took uh, a mere selfie with him, and you took your hand and you placed it on your chest, and you were excited to receive it, right? I was happy to be wrapped in my lover's arm in this moment. Yes. Okay. You testified that the entertainer came in, you got into the same rhythm. You were flirting and you made sure things were nice in the moment, right? Yes. You knew that your partner liked what you wanted to give your partner, what he liked, right? Unfortunately, yes. Okay. Do you remember you testified that you had just asked when the entertainer came, you asked for the entertainer to wear a condominium? And after that, what you received as a dirty look, Sean gave the entertainer a condominium that night? Yes. And then do you remember saying that you don't remember the conversation? You don't remember how, but then Cabral got there? Yes. Okay. Is this a message, part of a text message chain between you and Cabral on February 8th, 2023? Yes, it is. And do you say, "Hey, you," with your smiley face? At about 2:40 in the morning in the middle of my high? Yes, I am. Is that 2:40 in the morning UTC time? It is. So at 2:40 in the morning, actually at night in East Coast time, right? Yes, it is. So in the middle of after taking the pill that you decided to take, you said, "Hey, you, hope all is well. Do you have plans tomorrow?" Right? Objection from the government. Court says it's sustained. Did you take a pill that night? Yes. Okay. And you write, "Hey, you, hope all is well. Do you have plans tomorrow?" Yes, I did. And you say, would you be able to travel to Miami? Yes. Okay. So I think we talked yesterday about the length of a high of X, right? Yes. All right. And you said it would last a couple of hours, not a full 24, right? Yes. So in this text on February 8th, you asked him if he had plans tomorrow, the next day, right? Can you repeat the question? In this text on February 8th, you asked him, "Hope all is well. Do we have plans tomorrow?" I did say that. Can you please let me know what you write here? I said, "I don't know which phone you'll check first." Just wanted to say I love you and appreciate every detail you put into my birthday. Valentine's is your day. I know you're locked in, but if you want to spend it together, just let me know. I want to make sure you feel special. I love you, baby. Text you when I land. So after the birthday, when you went to Nobu, Cabral came, and the other entertainer, and Don came, and this is a message that you sent, Mr. Combs. I appreciate the little details. What were the little details that my lover put into my birthday, which were the flowers, the cake, the necklaces, our love making, and that's about it. You tell him I love and appreciate every detail, right? Every detail regards to him, in regards to him that he put into your day. Yes. And then you put a heart emoji next to that. I did. And then what is the little crying face emoji that? What does that mean to you? A happily emotional? And then you say happy Valentine, and then you say Valentine's Day is your day. I know you're locked in, but if you want to spend it together, just let me know. I want to make sure you feel special, right? Yes. And you said, I love you, baby. Text me when you land. Right. Yes. If we could go to page 4 and 5 of this exhibit, do you then send them photos later that day of you guys in the hotel room? Yes, I missed him. And that was from just a few days before your birthday, right? Yes. At the Nobu Hotel? Yes. And is this a photo that we just looked at before? Yes. And then you say, "Baby, home. I had a great time with the girls, thinking of you," and another heart, right? Yes. And this is now the next message that you sent him after those messages, right? Yes. And this is when you had seen that he had taken Carisha to Turks, right? Yes. And you say, I asked you clear as day if you were going to take a trip, honesty and no lies. And you said no. Knowing you had this plan and now you're in Turks, how you treat me is sad. Have fun, right? Yes. You write, grow up and call me, or we're going to have problems. I gave you a clear path to tell me the truth, and you still decided to lie to my face. Why did you lie? Right? Yes. And then do you remember you looked at several messages where you said, I didn't want to do all that on my birthday? You knew how tired I was, but I kept a good attitude for it. I came home to see you on a trip I've been dying for. Yes. It's not until you see him on a trip with Carisha and Turks that you tell him, I didn't want to do all that. Right? I think after I've been made to have S with 3 guys on my birthday, it was deeply hurtful and emotional for me to see him with another woman on a beautiful vacation and all their ease and all their happiness, whereas I'm alone and recovering from just having slept with 3 men that I didn't want to sleep with. So yes, it was very hurtful in that sense. Not because of this his relationship, but because of how it made me feel after and during something like that. Okay. So on February 10th, you write to him, just want to say I love you and appreciate every detail you put into my birthday, right? I appreciated even the smallest gesture from Sean, regardless of the things that went on. Okay. And then you testified here um, and on direct examination that when Don came at your birthday, you reached out like nothing because you loved your partner, right? I just went along with whatever. Okay, and then you said that when he asked you at Nobu whether there would be new entertainment, you also basically reacted like nothing, right? I was just going along with what my lover was proposing to me, yes. You appreciated, you said, right? I just complied with it. And then we look at the messages where you reached out to Cabral on the night as well, right? Under the pressure, more likely, of my lover. Because the alternate we heard was agitation, right? That's right. And then you asked for a condominium that night, you said. that he was in a bad mood, but he did it anyways, right? Thankfully. So you were able to ask him for something that night and he complied, right? With resistance. He gave the man a condominium at the very last minute. And the man wore a condominium. Thank God. Okay. And this message is on February 10th after your birthday. You wrote to him, right? Yes, I did. Were you on the plane when you wrote this message? I can't recall, but this is what you wrote to him on February 10th after your birthday. Despite enduring one of these nights, I can block them out and just focus on the love I have for Sean. I would always have sent loving, heartfelt messages that I meant every single word, that I loved him and that I had a wonderful time with him. Well, you wrote, I loved and appreciated every detail you put into my B day, baby, into my B day, right? In regards to Sean. Right. But you said, I loved and appreciated every detail you put into my B day, right? I wrote that in regards to Sean. You wrote that to Sean? That's what I did. Okay. So after you said that you see the photos in Turks and Caicos and you stop talking to him, right? Yes, I was very hurt. And you were really upset you made the decision to stop talking to him. I was heartbroken. And we looked at messages where you stopped talking to him for several days to over a week, right? I was extremely heartbroken. No, no, no. You were heartbroken, right? I was. And because you were heartbroken, you stopped talking to him, right? That's right. So we looked at those messages on direct examination. Yes, we have. And you've made the decision to fly to Paris? Yes, I did. And it was Paris Fashion Week, right? Yes. If you look at the bottom date created, does it say February 12th, 2023? Yes, it does. Is that the same day you find out that he is with Carisha on the islands? Yes. And so in this message on page, actually, sorry, if you go to say, you say, then I put my truth in your face. You asked to just be friends and break up, right? Yes. So you were upset about him being in Turks, which was, as you said, your dream vacation, right? He says Turks was your dream vacation to go with him, right? Yes. And when you were upset about him and Carisha being in Turks, you put the truth to him and he asked to be friends and break up, right? I was upset about having S with 3 men. Well, here you're talking about the lie, which was the birthday trip to Turks, right? And having to deal with the aftermath of seeing this for another woman. Yes, it was painful. And so then he says, or you write, then when I put the truth in your face, you asked to just be friends and break up, right? When I put the truth in his face about what he just used me before he went on this trip, he would then break up with me like he always does. So his response was essentially, we don't have to be together, right? That's what he says. And that's not something you were willing to do, right? Or were you? Because you stopped talking to him for a few weeks. He would say that, but his actions would come back to me. What do you mean by his actions? He would come back to you tomorrow. He would offer to break up. He would say we would be breaking up. And then a week later, he would be persistent, blow up my phone, have other people blow up my phone, be looking for me, wanting to see me. And he'd be right back in my face. I'd be right back in love and then repeat. So you would talk on face because you guys didn't live in the same place at the same time, right? We did not live at the same place at the same time. You didn't live in Florida. I did not live in Florida. And he was not a resident, and his resident was not in LA at that time. Right. I believe he has 2 residents. He was living full time in Miami at the time, right? I'm uncertain. Okay. Well, at that time, he was in Turks. You were not talking to him for 2 weeks. And then you said on direct examination, you missed him really dearly and you got back together with him after that, right? Yes. Okay. So we're looking at a diary entry from March 12th of February, right? Yes. Okay. And now, March 2nd, he writes, I'm going to end it like this. I'm very sorry. I didn't know I was going to lose one of my closest friends because of a stupid lie. Everyone makes mistakes. I tried my best to reach out to you, but I can't. Sorry I got mad yesterday and said F you and called you a BIT space H. I was very upset. I wish you well. I'm sincerely sorry. I wish I would have told the truth. I deserve this. Love, right? Yes, that's what he writes. This is several weeks after the diary entry or no entry in your phone that we just looked at, right? Yes. Okay, if we can go to page 20, we skipped ahead a few exhibits. And you send him a heart emoji, right? Yes. And you say, we have what we have is special, right? Yes. And he says, I can't wait to see you. And you say, I can't wait to see you too, my darling, right? Yes. And so after this, you guys start planning a trip to Turks, right? Yes. Okay. And do you remember you start looking at different houses to go and things like that? Yes. And he approves. Do you remember he was looking at a budget of over $100,000 for your trip? Yes. And he ended up spending almost 55,000 on this trip. I guess so. Do you remember that? I don't know the exact amount. Okay. And you started planning this trip with him and you were really excited to go, right? Yes. I think you said on direct examination that you really missed him dearly and you couldn't wait to get back with him, right? Yes. And so you sent this message to Cabral on March 16th. Under the encouragement of my partner, yes. So your partner was encouraging you when you wrote this message, right? Yes, I did. You asked him if he would be available to come to Turks, right? Yes, I did. Okay. And you said that Turks Paul was pleasant and nice, right? Yes, he was. And you were really happy because Mr. Combs got you a diamond bracelet there. Mhm. I remember being really tired, but I was really happy about this diamond bracelet. You were really tired at Turks, right? Yes. But you testified that Mr. Combs got you a diamond bracelet on that trip, right? At the very end, he showed me a diamond bracelet. Yes. And you were really excited, right? I thought it was a very I thought it was very sweet because you wanted diamonds, right? I just wanted Sean. Do you remember writing to yourself that you had wanted diamonds? Yes. Maybe. Could I show you something to refresh your recollection? Sure. Does this refresh your recollection that you had wanted diamonds? This refreshed my recollection that just or we have to do this technically, Jane. Does this refresh your recollection as to whether you had wanted diamonds? What I am seeing here, court interjects. Hold on, Miss Geragos. So, Jane, Miss Geragos is just asking about your own recollection and nothing that's in the document. So, if it did not refresh your recollection, you can tell her that. If it did, you can tell her that too. Um, Miss Geragos, please get on with the question. Yes, you were really excited to get the diamond bracelet in Turks, right? I was happy to receive it, yes. And you had wanted to go to Turks with Mr. Combs, right? Yes. This was your dream vacation. Yes. Okay. And you were also very excited when you got the diamond bracelet. I appreciated it. Yes. Okay. If we could, and then we'll talk about how you had the night with Paul, and then he came over to the villa and you threw the diamond bracelet, right? Yes, I did. Do you remember telling Paul that you agreed because you know that this makes him happy and that you like it when he's happy? Yes. You remember like telling Paul that you've allowed Mr. Combs too much and that's your fault? Yes, I do remember that. Jane, what do you write here to Mr. Combs? I say my thoughts tonight. You are truly a blessing in our life. I have never had a man take care of me like you do. The fact that you are the reason for my child's joy is a feeling inside me that I can't explain. It means the world to us. I love you so much as my friend, my lover, my boyfriend, even though you don't like that word. LOL. But I mean, you are. LOL. You are mine and I am yours. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. I feel blessed having you in my life. And I really wish, and I only wish to be a blessing in yours. I can finish. Um, and you say, I love you, baby, and will always be your, and will always be by your side, my baby. Love, Lamb Chop Bert. Jane, take as much time as you need. So let me stop right here. Jane was crying in various portions of this questioning. It's actually addressed in a sidebar that we're going to get to pretty soon. Geragos actually calls the sidebar and basically says the witnesses has been crying a lot this afternoon. I would ask if you would want to give the witness an opportunity to take a break if she needs it. I feel badly to have her continue crying throughout the afternoon. This is Geragos saying this. I'm really ahead of schedule, and so I'm just bringing this up to your attention, Your Honor. And actually, both Geragos and the government and the judge kind of feel like, it might be best to kind of take a break here. But the judge does check in with the witness and indicated that she just wanted to proceed with this. So just giving you guys an idea of what this sidebar looked like, because Jane had broken down on June 11th multiple times in the court hearing. And then you had watched a podcast that he was doing with him and Carisha, and that you thought sounded familiar, that he talked about the yacht trip, right? Yes. And you were upset because he talked about how much S he had on the yacht trip. And that was the yacht trip that you had wanted to go on, right? I was upset that he lied to me about the trip and what happened in the trip. You were upset because he told you they didn't have any S on this yacht trip, right? That's right. And you believed him. I did. And so you thought then when you heard them on the podcast, you were upset because he lied to you, right? Yes. You were also upset because you said that you really wanted to go on that yacht trip, right? Yes, it hurt my feelings that he promised this trip and then ended up doing it with somebody else. Okay, so you were then upset because you were supposed to go to New York and then you had seen that podcast, right? I believe I was upset there. I was upset here because of a lie. And this is a text message you sent him. I'm not coming to New York. I feel disrespected that you have to unnecessarily brag online that you effed for 48 hours straight on a trip you said you were asleep on. Then text me that you're corny and need my videos. And you're talking about when he asked you for the videos between you and him that you had on your phone, right? I believe he was asking me for explicit videos between me and another man. From a hotel night? Yes. And those videos, you believe he would need them. He was with other women, right? Yes. Because he needed to watch you, right? It was just a pattern of his. It was just a pattern of his to be with another woman and then text me in the middle of the night requesting these videos. I said that he would ask you for these videos when he was with other women or at other times, right? Yes. Okay. And you said it's clear to me you just want me there for a hotel binge. You got plenty of hoes, right? Yes. And you said I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform various fantasies, coming to the realization of what this really is, right? Yes. And you sent that on September 16, 2023? Yes. All right. And then you sent him, he looked at the message where you told him that you thought you opened Pandora's box, right? Yes. Are you and Mr. Combs planning a time to meet? Yes, we are. Okay. And then he asked you, what time are we meeting? And you say, ew, no, thank you, right? Right. And he says, you serious? I need you. And you say, why would you bring that trash back in and not answer my FaceTimes on top of that? You need me. You're with what you want, right? I believe I said, you don't need me. You're with what you want. Okay, thank you. And then he says, girl, I fell asleep. You tripping, baby. I need you bad. Please don't do this. I need you, right? Yes. And what did you understand that to mean? Whatever you decide, let me know. And he's just saying, whatever. I'm not really sure. He's just, whatever you decide. Do you understand it to mean whatever you decide, let me know? It seems like a fluffer text, like a, I don't know, like a nothing text. Okay, you say you party with Gina at the Edition. Please stop lying to me. I'm not touching you after you dipped in trash and toxic energy. Put some entertainment next to her. You all figure that ish out, right? Yes. You brought the messiness, the drama back in. I don't want that shit in my aura. I rebuke it, right? Right. And did Gina have a tendency for dramatics at times? Yes. From your perspective, yes. And he says after a few messages, girl, stop. You know I don't feed into this. I need you. You're the only thing that he's going to put, you're the only thing that's going to put me at peace. Please, right? Yes. And you felt that the hotel nights really put him at peace, right? Yes. And that's part of why you did them, right? Yes, because you felt that they brought him peace, right? Yes. And you being there with him helped him bring that peace, right? Yes. Do you remember the next day Mr. Combs asked to see you after these messages? Yes. Okay. And you, would it be fair to say that you kind of fought back some more because of the fact that he was just with Gina? Yes. All right. And you had told him you needed a mental break from this. Yes. And he said, well, do you want to break up? Yes. And that it was around this time that you were encouraging him, that you wanted him to go to rehab and get sober. Yes. And what were you doing to encourage that? Just trying to be an example of somebody who herself was trying to be healthier. And I would just want him to eat like good food, vitamins, get off the rugs, get off everything. I would just send him like recipes, trying to tell him to meditate, have yoga, anything to just push him to health and wellness. And so you told him you were going to do a 30-day without doing anything, right? Or does he say that to you? Did he say he would do 30 days without doing anything? He said it, yes. And he said, but could we just have one more sobriety party? Yes. And after, he said that you agreed. Yes. And that's the hotel night where you didn't take any rugs, right? Right. And then there were three different guys, right? Yes. And earlier that night, I think we looked at some photos. You went to see him in concert that night. Yes. And then there were several entertainers at the hotel. Unfortunately, yes. And the sobriety party you said lasted 12 to 18 hours, right? Yes. And you had agreed to it, right? Unfortunately, yes. And you keep saying unfortunately, but you had agreed to it, right? Yes. You regret now that you agreed to it. Is that fair? I resent him for knowing how much I loved him and knowing that I couldn't say no to him. My question is, you regret that now? I resent him for it. Yes. You resent him for the fact that you did the sobriety party. I resent him for all of it. Okay. You regret it, right? I believe resentment and regret lie in the same feelings. Okay. And you just said because he knew how much you loved him, right? Yes. And you had wanted to break up with him because you saw him with Gina, right? There were many times I wanted to break up with him. And then he would say you either would, right? We talked about a few times where he would take breaks. You would take breaks from him, right? Yes. And you made the decision to not answer phone calls or respond to texts, right? Right. And then sometimes you made the decision to answer those phone calls and answer those texts, right? Yes. And then there were times where you told him that you didn't want to have a hotel night, right? Yes. And we looked at some of those times today. Yes. And then there were times where he asked for hotel nights and asked for entertainers and you agreed, right? Yes, I would. Do you remember texting with KK about his birthday and saying we're not going to have any hotel nights and that you just wanted to plan a nice dinner? Yes. And you were discussing perhaps going to a few restaurants in LA, right? Yes. Okay. And then it was after these videos that Cassie's lawsuit was made public, right? Yes. And we looked at all those messages on direct examination, right? Yes. Yes. And you had said that you had broken up about 2 weeks earlier, right? You hadn't had any hotel nights, right? You hadn't had any hotel nights, right? And you were really upset, right, before Cassie's lawsuit because you saw that he was in London and he had bought another girlfriend. He had brought another girlfriend, right? That added, yeah, that was like that added to everything. That contributed to everything, sorry. Yeah. That I noticed that he was with someone in London, and so I became so upset after about that. And then I believe the lawsuit was just a couple of days later, I think 2. And then that's when you texted him a few days later. Yes. All right. And that's when we heard the recordings that we played the other day on direct examination. Yes. And that's this time you were fully broken up with Mr. Combs. Right. Yes. You were not going to get back together with him, right? No. You made the decision that you were going to break up. Yes. That was your choice at that time in November of 2023, right? Yes. And did Mr. Combs ever talk to you about Cassie in the course of your relationship? I would say here and there. Do you remember him telling you that she was one of his greatest loves? Yes. And during times when he would be high with you, he would write her love letters. Do you remember that? I'm not sure about that one. If you could just read this and tell me if that refreshes your recollection. Oh yeah, I remember that. So you do remember. You remember saying that Cassie was one of his greatest loves and that Gina tormented that relationship? Yes. And that was one of the toxic cycles that he would get into with Gina. Yes. Do you remember following Cassie's lawsuit quite closely on Instagram and other public means? Public means? Yes. And so this is when they ask for a sidebar, and the sidebar really is to basically end the questioning. Nothing further from here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.